Welcome back, everybody. I'm going to move into a German firearm today. Just wanted to give you the opportunity to see this firearm because this may be one that you haven't seen before. If you're a large collector, you may be familiar with them. If you're a smaller collector or not that much into these old firearms, you may not be that familiar with this old gun. This is a fairly late production model of the Ortgies, if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm not even certain on that, but I believe Ortgies is the correct way of pronouncing it. These guns were built, this particular one, post-war. By post-war I mean post-World War I. This one was built between 1919 and 1924. No records really exist. We can determine somewhat by the configuration of the firearm, where it was built, and certain things that changed over the years. That I can narrow the year down that it was probably built about 1921, so it's a fairly early semi-automatic handgun. Total production of these was right around 263,000. So it's not a super common firearm, but there are quite a few out there. This, as I said, is a late model one. Get into some of the features on it. You can see the symbol on the grips. That symbol is actually a cat. At first glance you'd think it's a D, but it's actually a cat with its tail, and it forms kind of a stylized D, and I'm going to guess that stands for Deutsche Werke, which is where it was made, in Erfurt. And also that's the same location my Luger P08 was built. If you would go back and take a look at that video, you can see that it's an Erfurt produced gun. That's the city, of course. Now these are unusual in their function, very unique in their function too. Flip it over here, see the other side. You can see Ortgies patent on it. Caliber 7.65 millimeter. And that caliber is the 7.65 Browning, or as we Americans like to say, 32 auto. And you can see a couple of proof marks there. Very interesting firearm. Now, some of those unique characteristics of it is you see right away it doesn't have a slide lock, of course. It is a fixed barrel, blowback action, being that 32 auto. They also did make them in 380 auto, and that's evidenced by the magazine for it. This is the magazine. It is marked 7.65 millimeter, but it's also marked 9 millimeter. That would be the 9 millimeter Kurtz, or 380 auto, as we might in the United States be more familiar with the term. You can see it is the release is here European style on the bottom of the grips here, and it also came with an aftermarket magazine. Functions just fine. In fact, it feels a little bit sloppier than the first one, which in a way is good because this one is awfully snug, getting it to slide up in there. Now, some of those characteristics I was talking about before I get too distracted with it is the safety mechanism. Now, it does have a safety here, but it doesn't operate in the normal way that you might picture a thumb safety operating. The way it operates is it's depressed, and when it's depressed and released, you can see this little back strap pops out on the firearm. What that does is that's the spring tension for the firing pin. It takes the spring tension off the firing pin. It also locks up the trigger. This gun is empty, as we'll double check it just to make sure. Now you see I forced it in just racking the slide, and that's easy to do, as you can see. Once it's taken off and put into the fire position. However, it's rather inconvenient to get back into firing position. If I have to push pretty hard, and it's actually more the distance than how hard you have to push in order to get it to snap into place and to snap and engage with that release lever. Then to put it back into safe, of course, that is pushed in. Not a very convenient operation, but it's very unique. It's more like the secondary safety on a 1911 or other firearms that have that grip safety, but this one is the gun's complete safety, and it's somewhat different in operation than those firearms. Give you a look around it. Germany printed on it underneath, so this was more than likely built for export, I would guess. I'm not 100% sure on that, but usually when you print that on, that means it was a gun built for export. Now this is not only the safety actuation, but it is also the takedown lever. Now the takedown on this gun, you just push it back, slide back until it hits a certain location. With this button depressed, it'll allow it to flip up and come off the side, much as many other blowback firearms, PPKs, and that line of guns, and many other firearms that are blowback have that takedown method where the slide is released that way. Now, I'm not going to do it here. The reason is the firing pin can come shooting out, and it's rather difficult to get back in because you have to push the firing pin back in, engage it in a notch, and working around the camera here, it would be a little difficult for me to demonstrate that. And then very carefully slip it back over the spring that is around the barrel, and then with this being depressed, lower it into place with your finger held over the end, so in case that firing pin comes out of its little notch, which it very lightly nestles in, and snap it back down into place. Kind of a hold your teeth in the right position to get that baby back into place. So this was a bundle I bought at an auction. A fellow was having some medical problems, and I wanted to help him out, make certain that one of the guns I really wanted, I drove the price up as high as I could, and could not buy it. But I did get a second firearm identical to it on the same auction, part of this bundle, and I've got 3 of them in this bundle, and I'll show all 3 of them to you. 2 of them are German. One of them is a black powder firearm. It's fairly interesting also. So there we have it. Sight picture is decent. It's a V-notch on the rear, built right into it, and a little stub up on the front, as you can see. So it's a fairly good little sight picture, and even though it's a little bit wide, not for precision shooting at all. So it also came with a holster. They claimed a custom holster. I don't have any idea. If you know, comment 40TW. I do not know if this was a custom holster built for it, but it does fit the pistol remarkably well, probably from, you know, the many years of being stored in that pistol. Yeah, it does fit it like a glove, absolutely perfectly. Nice flexible leather still, quite old apparently, but an interesting find on a unique and unusual firearm that you're not going to see every day. I have not had the opportunity to fire this gun yet, but I plan on it. You notice there's no grip screws either. I should point that out. If you ever come across one of these and want to get the grips off, the way that is performed is you have to get up inside here. My fingers won't fit at all, but I use a screwdriver, and there's a little springed a lever that is sprung. Let me correct my English there. And you push that out of the way, and one of the grips will fall off. easily enough then. And that little lever just fits in a little notch that is cut into these grips, so they're very delicate. If you try and pry them off, you will break them. This one has been pried off before and it broke, and it was repaired very well with a piece of plate metal, more like tin, and nailed in. Very period repair on the back side, but it restored it just fine, and it's in good working order now. So there we have it. A wonderful, very old firearm from pre-World War II, post-World War I, 1921, right in that intermediate era, from Germany. And again, fine German workmanship on it. You can't beat that ever. It's what makes German firearms so fascinating. A few rust spots on it, but all in all, what a wonderful firearm to have. And incidentally, you probably can find these fairly inexpensively. I would put the price of this one within the bundle that I got, about $200. So can't go wrong with a fun little 32 auto firearm from that era. One of the best budget ways to get into firearms that I can think of. So there we go. Thanks a lot for watching, and we're going to continue on with some more German firearms, so to speak. Tune in next time. Thanks a lot.